Hospitals are now looking at, their resilience structures and, looking at how do we actually, in a time of crisis, how will we manage our assets? So if and when this does happen again, at least we have a structure in place that we can make sure the lights stay on.
Hospitals and medical facilities rely on uninterrupted power and safe electrical systems. What are the biggest risks to electrical reliability in healthcare settings, and how do they impact patient safety and operational efficiency?
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like most things, it's looking at this stuff energized or not looking at it at all. So, when you go back to COVID, for instance, a lot of hospitals and medical facilities, they rely on contracting out their maintenance. They have in-house teams as well, but some of that shutdown maintenance is outsourced. So therefore, when COVID happened, there was massive risk because they couldn't get people into the hospitals at all to manage the equipment. Their own people were limited in getting to the equipment. So that started to show some of the weaknesses within the structures that we had at the time. So I think that was, it highlighted the issues that we were unaware of because it's been old saying, if in doubt, contract it out. So they would contract a lot of the maintenance out. So I've seen now that the hospitals are now looking at, their resilience structures and, looking at how do we actually, in a time of crisis, how will we manage our assets? So if and when this does happen again, at least we have a structure in place that we can make sure the lights stay on. They've got a lot of backup power and things like that, but I think they looked at the standard of the day-to-day maintenance and how they looked after things, and now they're building structures in to make sure their in-house teams are efficient and they can at least manage the risk, if not, do the shutdown turnaround maintenance, but at least manage the risk and make sure everything's running as safe as possible.
Many hospitals operate with aging infrastructure and tight budgets. What are some of the most overlooked, hidden electrical risks in these environments? And how can modern inspection technologies help identify them before they cause critical failures?
Well, like most things, it's a lot of these places are running on a shoestring maintenance team. They haven't got the abundance of multiple teams that can do X, Y, and Z. And then understanding the criticality of the equipment they're looking at is another issue. And like data center client, anybody you say, right, what's critical? Well, if you say to anybody in hospital, what's critical? They'll say everything is critical. Well, there's an old saying is if everything's important, nothing's important. So I think the major issues is understanding their actual criticalities on their equipment and then aligning what they have from a team and budgets and everything to maintain the critical stuff. And as you say, some of this stuff is aging, and I mean really aging. But that being said, some of the older equipment is far more robust than some of the modern designs that we're dealing with. I've been to places where they have 100-plus-year-old transformers still running. And there's nothing wrong with them. These things are built to last, and they really are lasting. So understanding your criticality, aligning your team and your resources to manage the criticalities is the important thing. Now, that we get involved with a lot of that because trying to make things easier to inspect with a lower skill set. We have our operations-driven safety and reliability programs where we try and do some of the day-to-day data collection with a lower skill set by designing and training operators to just go out and gather data and do like a rounds and reading type scenario. So that works very well, and that's helping again alleviate the risk by making sure we're getting routine data. But everything is going towards big data, everything is moving towards IoT, putting stuff online. And again, when you understand your criticality, you can put your most critical assets online. You can put sensors on them. A lot of equipment's being built with all this already in it. So again, we really need to simplify the maintenance structures that we utilize and stop doing unnecessary time-based maintenance. Go towards more condition-based, which again alleviates the stress on the teams and lets them do more upgrades.
Compliance with NFPA 99, NFPA 70B, and other safety regulations is becoming more stringent. How are these updates shaping maintenance strategies in healthcare? And what role do solutions like IR windows and condition-based monitoring play in helping facilities stay compliant?
Well, I mean, the thing is, you can see those standards, especially like NFPA 70B. I mean, it's moving to more of a condition-based structure. So they're recognizing the value of condition-based inspections. And again, by you doing more infrared, ultrasound, so we're talking about electrical, but obviously the mechanical issues as well. If we look at electrical, they're doing more infrared, ultrasound, etc. But equally, when you look at standard like 70B, they say open the cabinet so you can see. Well, that again, we know is a no-no. We don't want to open energized cabinets. So that's where windows are coming in. So we're building structures and designs where inspection windows are there. The guys can go and do routine condition-based maintenance using infrared and ultrasound, etc. But because we've designed it in a way that you don't have to have a fully skilled licensed electrician to open panels because you're opening a window, operators are now opening windows with infrared cameras. I mean, you've got small cameras, $300, $400, $500 that can quite easily do these day-to-day measurements. I mean, they're a lot less than the old spot radiometers, and at least it's an imager and the guys can see what they're doing. So that's where windows and things like that are coming involved. We're simplifying the way the inspections are conducted. So now it's done fully energized, routinely with lower skill sets, and having that data, again, data's everything. We can trend and make sure we're catching the stuff before it loses.
Continuous monitoring is critical in an environment where downtime isn't an option. How do over-temperature indicators provide an extra layer of protection for healthcare facilities, and how do they complement traditional thermal inspections?
Well, the Safe Connect product solutions, I mean, thermochromics means color changing with heat. Yeah. Now, we have what color lock technology. So once the clips just clip on cables. When they're okay, they're purple. If they hit 70 Celsius, they change to pink and they lock. So again, most of the time when we do these types of inspections is offline. So we're not doing full load inspections. So I can look in a cabinet offline. I'm not really going to see anything with a camera because I've got no load. But if you look in there, even though you've got no load, if the clip has changed color, I can then write a work order to look at that specific circuit because I know during its load cycle, we've overheated. And then again, what skill sets do you need to see if something's changed color? So it becomes part of that operations-driven safety and reliability program where the operators are doing that rounds and reading, visual inspections. So you can even think of a thermochromic clip like a warning light. I mean, if a warning light is flashing red, you do something about it. If a clip's gone pink, you do something about it. And there's no technology requirement. There's no internet requirement. There's no program requirement. You just need a Mark I eyeball that can look at a clip. That's it. And even if you're colorblind, doesn't matter. If you can't see pink, if pink is orange to you, it's gone orange, but it would have changed color from the other ones in the cabinet.
Looking ahead, how do you see healthcare maintenance evolving? What new technologies or best practices should hospital facility managers be adopting today to ensure long-term electrical reliability and safety?
Well, I think we're in a hybrid model. People are sort of jumping up and down about sensors, put sensors on it, but then we end up with a data overload, and then what are you going to do with the data? What are you specifically looking for? I was on a great seminar a year or so ago from Bentley, Nevada, who really do that industrial space on the online monitoring. And one of the things he pointed out was that 87 to 93% of current IoT programs are not meeting the design intent. So there was no real involvement, I think, potentially from the ground floor with what are we looking for? So if I'm going to measure data from this piece of equipment, what specifically am I looking at? What are the target, like the mean temperatures or pressures or vibration levels, whatever, on that asset? What's an alarm? And when we get an alarm, what are we going to do with it? So now I think, if we're going to adopt these technologies, absolutely. Industry 4.0 is there. I think we're probably industry 3.25 at the moment. We're on our journey. But we're going to see this now where technology is going to be more evolved, but I think first and foremost, step one should be you involve the team. Once you have a fully aligned team, then the team decides on the next steps that it requires to make it more efficient, safer, and more effective. So a team of engineers, including operators, and say, look, if I could measure one specific parameter on this, what would it be? What's the value? How would we measure it? And what would we do? And you just start that, just baby steps. So you have to avoid that massive rush to putting sensors on everything. It's not that. First of all, get your team aligned, then the team decide on the next approach. So I always encourage managers to pump the brakes a bit. All the technologies out there that you will ever want, but make sure it's not what someone else is telling you what you want, and it's what you want, and that's what you implement.
What's the one critical understanding you think every reliability leader in healthcare must internalize to drive meaningful impact?
Like most things, it's like we are over-maintaining our assets. Yeah. So first, I would always encourage people to, actually do a full review of their maintenance, how they do, what time-based maintenance you're doing, what value you're getting from it. You know what I mean? It's so first and foremost, look at your structure, actually qualify, ask yourself a question: why am I doing this task? Yeah, and what am I going to get from it? And does it deliver value? How do I measure that data? Do I need a shutdown? Can I put technology on it? So I do feel that we are totally over-maintaining our assets. And, if you want to start achieving your sustainability goals within your organizations, if you want to build in resilience within your organizations, a great place to start is stop doing all the crap that you shouldn't be doing. You know what I mean? Just stop that. Have a look at things and have some real deep dives and just do it asset by asset. You haven't got, it's like, how do you eat an elephant? You ain't got to do it all today, but you can choose. Look at your bad actors. Look at the places where you have problems and say, right, how can we do this better? What are we doing now? Why am I doing this? Do I need to do this? Yes. Can I do it a better way? What skill sets do I require? So start to just break down into that. And I think that's always a good place to start, is to actually do a sanity check on what you're currently doing.
Red Talks features voices driving safety, reliability, and innovation forward in the industrial world. If your work challenges the status quo, we'd like to hear from you. Learn more at redtalk.com/about.